1st, being primarily Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, with the one exception of Labor Day, which is that September 1st, which is a Monday. And then September 5th, just a few days later, they switched to Hollow Scream. The sliced smoked turkey sandwich, the smoked pulled duck roll, which was supposed to be on a brioche bun but came from a hot dog bun, and oh, I forgot the third thing. Oh, the fire rub barbecue chicken legs, in which you only get one leg. You read all about this at mainstmagic.com. Just, Google Bier Fest and those items. They will come up. I mean, not Google, just search on our website. It'll be easy to find. Today I'm having the last of the items that are there. I'm just kind of rounding out things that we pretty much knew what they were going to be before we started. And I'm having the Baklava Bird's Nest. Baklava Bird's Nest. The exact description, which looks like they used Gemini this time, is handcrafted baklava bird's nest with honey lime sauce and toasted pistachios. We're gonna give this a shot. Not sure how it's gonna go. I forgot to mention in the opening little blurb, this is $7.99 without the sampler lanyard or any annual pass discount. Let me take a bite. Not sure the best way to tackle this. The baklava-like coating on the outside cuts fairly easily for a layered item. Let's see how this is a little awkward to eat. I'm not sure how you would get all of these flavors in together. It's a good concept. I like the concept. I suspect the Busch Gardens chefs, not giving away conversations I can't give away, I suspect there'll be some variation of this that'll be seen in the future, maybe a spooky version or maybe a holiday version of this. It's a little tough to eat in its current to get all the components together, so I had to work really hard to do it. I'm apparently going to have to take one of the Stein family traits, and I'm going to need a second bite because I got a lot of confusing flavors there. Some were really good and some were really bad. So I'm not sure how to evaluate that. That's generally not a good sign, especially what is tasting good and what's tasting not. We'll try again. No, my initial assessment is correct. The very, very thin baklava type shell, which is not a true baklava, obviously, but it has many of those natures which forms this shell covering in the toasted pistachios, has a decent baklava flavor. I mean, it's not great, but you went to a theme park festival or something, you wouldn't make it home. Good. Toasted pistachios, you probably wouldn't make it home either. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, I don't know. The baklava thin shell has some decent flavor. I noticed that it's at the bottom also. There seems to be more when the baklava is thicker at the bottom, or what they're calling baklava. We're really stretching the definition of baklava here, but okay. I mean, it's not going to blow you away, and if you are familiar with true baklava, you're going to go, really, John? You told me this was good? I didn't say it was good baklava. I just said it was good. The problem is the toasted pistachios. And as I'm working on an article for another site that I started working on today, sometimes we eat food so you don't have to. Those aren't great. There's a little bit of pistachio flavor at the end, but whatever they try to toast them in and cover them in is not working in this one case. Now, maybe it'll work with others, but I can only go on the one that I have. I do know, based on knowing how Busch Gardens does their festivals, I did get the last one of this batch. They'll be bringing a new batch out later. Didn't know that when I ordered. Most guests wouldn't know the difference either, so it's not really fair. This is just an okay item. I wish the baklava had something else inside of it. It was a really good try, but at least in this case it doesn't work. However, if you like pistachios, even just average pistachios, there are plenty of them in here. The baklava is a little thin, but It's got decent flavor. Except for that bite. So take that for what it's worth. This is an okay item. Obviously, using a sample, and you hear me say all the time, this is a good deal. I don't know that I would pay $8 or $8 minus a 15% discount if you had a Platinum Annual Pass for this. But it's not bad. It's just not going to blow you away. But usually the desserts, letting you behind the curtain, usually the desserts at Busch Gardens at their festivals are kind of throw-ins at the end. They're lower cost, easier things they can mass produce. To United Parks and Resorts credit, especially based on my all-day dining experience at SeaWorld recently, they're doing a really good job of streamlining their mass-produced desserts. We were impressed with some of the desserts and even an entree, which I'm sure I will cover at some point at MAINSDMagic.com. Having said that, this is an okay item. I wouldn't race here, but if you're here already, you've come to Busch Gardens, you've come to check it out because you've heard this cranky Black Panther wearing gray-haired old man keeps talking about how wonderful Busch Gardens can be, and you wanted to come try it out. Getting this is, I wouldn't be angry if you did. There are some items here, if you got, I would be angry if you did. Please go to MAINSDMagic.com and read about those, because it's unprofessional to rant about those right now. This is in the meh category. It's the kind that we food bloggers don't like because it doesn't give us a high, it doesn't give us a low. Most of the writing I do that generates revenue, lots of revenue, is the best of this or the worst of this. This would be neither. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Smash that like button. All those things that YouTubers say. We've given a blogger a camera. I'm sorry for that. It does help the show grow. As always, please eat like you mean it.